Good evening, Blues. Welcome to the preview. Everton are taking on the Cherries. We play Bournemouth away. It's on Saturday at 3 o'clock. Yes, you heard it. We are playing the traditional Saturday time, and we're back in action. So after all the off-field antics, it's nice to be back on the field. The Blues, of course, are playing amongst a crowded fixture list this weekend, which includes big games at the top and the bottom of the table. I'm delighted to be joined by Aussie Chris and my good friend Mabsy Parken Goodison. How are you both? Looking forward to action on the weekend.
Well, I was looking forward, to be fair, for a few weeks of non-related outs and stress, but that's never happened. That was Evertonians. We're used to that. Yeah, good to see. After think about 20 days, 30, near 30 days, getting back to action in Bournemouth. Can't wait to have a just chill and watch a game.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, you looking forward to the weekend? How have you been?
Yeah, doing well. I've been away from the world of, away from the normal life for a few days. I'm actually got quite an accidental suntan at about 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. over here in Phoenix. So, yeah, it feels a little bit like a shake-up of the norm. And I think...
What sun?
Over here, I am a pasty pink.
Is that the big yellow thing in the sky?
Yeah. I've heard it happens, but we've never seen it in the UK, like Chris.
Speaking of sunshine, I actually did look at the weather. What a nerd for the Bournemouth game, because it's been absolutely pissing it down here. I'm not that far from there, about an hour and a half or so, and it's just rained all day. But come Saturday, if the forecasters at the Met Office have got anything right, it's looking dry and bright, 12 degrees, and I think that means nothing, because at the end of the day, Everton just have to find a way of putting the ball in the bloody onion bag. I've just come out of a couple of the England game, basically, where Pickford made an absolute howler. Let's hope he doesn't bring that form. I believe it's his first one for England, but of course, you will naturally end up doing those mistakes. But I was at the England game. I was able to see Onana play for a fairly strong and well-organised Belgium side. They look pretty much better than they did under Martinez from an organisation, defensive point of view. Quite fluent, some good players. Players that have terrorised us in the past. Lukaku looked like a spring chicken, played a quality ball in. That was an interesting game. I went to with Basil. But I left early to get onto the train and missed the Jude Bellingham goal. But putting international football aside, although we should give a shout out to Seamus Coleman, who was man of the match for Republic of Ireland, putting international football to the side and kind of going into this fixture relatively unscathed. Let's start with kind of the team news. And I think really the kind of the biggest headline is that Idrissa Gueye is likely to be featured in the match, and Danjuma's not likely to make it. Guys, have you got any thoughts on Idrissa and how does he actually make a difference when it comes down to it in this Everton lineup?
Just before we continue, I hope Peter Duggan's okay. So that's a bit concerning, that one. Anyway, right, so yeah, so starting lineup, interesting. He's got choices again, hasn't he? So do we continue? Is it Dominic Calvert-Lewin or better? I get the age-old question, isn't it? Or do we just stick like a keen up top?
Yeah, I think. Chris, what do you think?
In terms of starting lineup, I can't see it changing. I don't see a scenario where Idrissa Gueye has brought his way back into the squad. I know he's great for turnovers, but is he making more of a difference than Onana? Well, neither of them are the attacking threat we need, but I don't see Gueye coming in for James Garner, who actually is able to run and be more of an attacking presence. So it's great to have squad depth, and if anyone's injured, we're not forcing them to get a premature injury before a really busy schedule here. Because I know that there have been scenarios we didn't have enough people on the bench. We had two keepers, and no one was really comfortable putting someone into central midfield. Maybe now's the time to say, hey, if there's a niggling injury, we play it safe. But to that, I guess, to my little tagline there, it's about time we get 3 points, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
If you just joined us, this is the Bournemouth v Everton preview, of course, and we're just talking about Idrissa Gueye, who played for Senegal actually and came back unscathed, which is good news. Although you could say less about the likes of John Stones, and there were a lot of injuries over the weekend. I think Robertson might have got an injury, and it's good to get it's good to get the squad back. Everton have been in some sort of sunshine weather camp in Portugal, remember, before all of
You
this.
mean piss up and then the alleged brawl?
Yeah. And I don't know whether either of you saw the videos knocking around on social media while we're you kind of have to watch them on sort of 2 or 3 times to make them look like we're kind of pacey and like going to do anything. And Ryan commented famously or infamously that we were like statues or something. But guys, did you see the training videos? I mean, it's heavily edited. It looks like we actually hit the net, so it must be edited from days of footage.
I believe, you know what? I've been moving home, so honestly, I've not. I just.
Oh yeah, very big home warming, Mabsy. Welcome to your new place.
I've got decent Wi-Fi now, which is good. Last
time. And a new wallpaper. It's a nice color green.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna get a green screen, so it was still moving in. So.
Oh, there's a spoiler alert there. He's got a green screen. We can see parts of your new home, and we hope that you make it your own, and and you settle in back into the match. I mean, look, we're going back to the same old added problem, really. But where does this match lie within the context of the season? Is this, Chris, is this a must-win game? Is this, there's a lot of games in April. Conversely, compared to March, where we were twiddling our thumbs and watching, different sports and you end up watching the golf or whatever's on. But where is this? Is this we've got to go there and get a point, or is this we've got to win, or is this if we get anything, it's a bonus?
It's not the last one. So I think I just set up the schedule for the next month, right? And I think we have a couple tough midweek fixtures that we won't expect anything from in Newcastle and Liverpool. We have the Bournemouth match. Well. We have Brentford, we have Burnley, and Chelsea.
Yeah, Chelsea midweek as well, isn't it? It's a Monday night, I think.
Chelsea's the 15th. Yeah, you're right.
It's not exactly a midweek, but it's not weekend. So if we expect anything against Liverpool, great, we get a point, but I don't expect anything. Newcastle, I don't know what to expect. I'm expecting nothing. We might get a point. Really depends on Newcastle. Chelsea have gotten better, but we have been known to nick a point there, and they're like us. They can't convert at home. So I think nicking a point is very possible. And then the question becomes, what are the must-wins? There's must-not losers. Burnley is that one. We should be able to, but we should be getting, like we're really, I was most annoyed of any match this year, probably against Crystal Palace. We just didn't show up when this was a gimme game that we needing 3 points. We need other teams not to gain on us. But I think this is a perfect opportunity for an out-of-form Bournemouth, relatively speaking, not doing too well at home, for us to use our away skill set, because we can't win at home. This is the kind of match. Is it a truly need to win? No, but this is one of the. If we don't take advantage of these games, then we're in trouble again.
Mabsy, do you agree with Chris?
No,
do you think that?
I agree. It is definitely a must-win. It's definitely at least a point. There's no excuse to come away with 0 points. We haven't had in previous seasons much luck at Bournemouth, like conceding last minutes and stuff like that. However, this is crucial. There's no excuses. We've not played in 20 plus days, God knows how long. There should be no fatigue. Absolutely, hardly any international players going away on duty. So, in my mind, we've got to capitalize on this, and on the break, and we need to start winning, pure and simple, because you don't know what's around the corner with Everton, especially with the corrupt Premier League buddy. Potentially docking us even more points, which again completely unjustified. It wasn't right the first time. Definitely not right the second time for the same offence. Ridiculous. So we have to go. We have to put performance, and they have to work hard. And in my mind, it is a must-win. It's got to be. you've got to target these games because, like Chris is saying, we've got Newcastle, Liverpool, and Chelsea. Again, I agree. You know that they're not like are the strongest. It's even the shite. To be honest, they're starting to lose speed. They're getting all the injuries. I'm not saying that we can win it. I'm just saying that, but they are going to be tough games, nevertheless. And so we need to be winning against teams like Bournemouth. No offense, Bournemouth, but we do need to win.
And the good news is, of course, that we've won our last 2 games at them at home, but away from home, it's been a sorry story for Everton. In fact, in the last 5 games, we've actually only scored once, and we've had 65 shots with an XG of 4.8. I mean, we know where the problems are, but what do you do about it? I mean, you're away from home. You won't play 2 up front, so you're back to probably Beto.
Disrespect the goals that are shit, by the way. Fucking just another stat to fucking beat clubs with. It's fucking ridiculous. Sorry, just not.
And Mabs, I think, and I looked at this. I think it was against United when I did that watch along, and then I looked at the XG, and then I went back on the app and I looked at all the shots that were blocked, and every blocked shot being counted towards XG, and that's kind of our problem. We're too slow to shoot, convert our opportunities, and it's making us look better than we are because we don't shoot quick enough and take our chances, you know.
You take it with a pinch of salt. That at the end of the day, we just not put the ball. I mean, look. I mean, things would have been different if that Calvert-Lewin, which was a legitimate goal against Spurs, had been allowed. But he's gone on this really long run now, and it's sort of beyond a joke to the point where you think that he can't really play him. He has to play Beto, and Beto, it's almost like the best of 2 evils. But I think at one point that something's got to click. But we're running out of time, guys. I mean, it's April. You've picked out probably results, which I agree with. We're probably not likely to pick up anything. But it's a surprising league this season. It's been, quite difficult to sometimes predict certain games. Almost anyone can take points off anyone, and you don't always expect the right ones to be the ones that you think you're going to get points from. You get, but I think you've kind of called it the must not lose games, and that Berlin game does stress me out. That the thought of that game coming up. Everton are on the longest winless run in the Premier League. We've not won at Bournemouth for something like 12 games. So I think 1994.
Didn't we win the FA Cup in the Premier League? Yeah, sorry.
Maybe in the FA Cup.
We won the
and of course for them, they've got an informed guy, Semenyo. He's scored 4 in 5, although that was a lot more than he'd scored before going into this little kind of purple patch. Meanwhile, Solanke scored 15 this season. How we'd love for somebody to be hitting the net like that. And actually, that's the most that Bournemouth have had, apart from Josh King in 2016. So they're hitting it, but it's just one of those things. Everton, you don't know what Everton are going to turn up. We don't know how they've been in for the last three games. And even when we play pretty well, we just don't seem to be like coming away with anything more than a point. So for me, it's you start thinking mentally that you're going to get a draw at best. And if you do that, you get beat towards the end. Like Brighton, we should have won that game. And this kind of reminds me of that again. Big trip down south. Are you going, Mabsy? You going?
No, I've got too much on. Too much.
You don't need to give me an excuse. I think
you'd have to. Anyway, to be fair, but...
You'd have to be pretty. Well, I'm not going to comment. I think there's a lot of Everton fans that make a 13-hour trip, 400-500 miles, to go and see Everton, and it is hell. And you just got to put in a performance that kind of you can be proud of. And I think we've got to the stage where it doesn't even matter about the performance. We just need points. And that's what I'm worried about is, there's still uncertainty.
Did I not see in training that they were on the piss up in Portugal? Did I not see Michael Keane score a screamer and Ryan Gordon and that?
Yeah, that was the one highlight I remember, Michael Keane scoring goals, but he always can. That's not his problem.
Yeah.
You know what, though? If they're not performing, I know this is nuclear, but why not give him a shot or put him up front? He's done it before for us. With the piss poor fucking shape we have up front. I'm starting to think.
Is that
Oh, what
Toffee
do you do? Play him up front with Calvert-Lewin. I mean, I think the strategy with Keane has always been that you push him up for most set piece strategies, and actually, you know, we've done really well from set pieces. Problem is, you just are going to be in a relegation battle if your strikers don't find the net, and I'm sure that they've done a lot of work, but I haven't heard wind of anything around the ideas that I had about getting a striking coach in. And I just remember that last stream that we did, the one where Ryan was moaning, and well, Ryan's always moaning, but we're all moaning to be. Yeah. And it's just like, I don't think anyone's actually got the answers. I bloody hope they do. Of course, this fixture comes in the middle of a packed weekend. If you just joined us, welcome. Good evening. Chris is out in the States. Mavsy's up in Liverpool. I'm down in Surrey. But yeah, it comes in the packed weekend. Newcastle play West Ham. That's at 12:30. And then our game at Bournemouth is also joined at 3:00 with the Stamford Bridge game where Chelsea play Burnley. And that's a game that I think will be flicking over the scoreline, sadly, a little bit. But the next one is the one that I'm really concerned about. It's Forest. They play Palace. It's one of those ugly games because you just don't really know what you want to do. But presumably, we either want a draw or a Palace win. But it's one of the rock and a hard place game. Sheffield United play Fulham also at 3, and then Spurs take on Luton, where we hope for a home win. But again, that's one of those games where, do you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Luton win 4-3. Because that's just the sort of team that they are.
I don't think they will. They're scoring goals, but they're too leaky at the back. This is tough.
I know, but you just can't take it for granted. So basically, the 3:00. This is one of the first times in the last. Well, we've not played for 20 days, for God's sake, but certainly for a while that I can remember, where all three or four relegation candidates. I'm excluding Sheffield United. I don't think they're even mathematically. They are mathematically able to stay up. But let's take them out of the equation. Burnley, Forest, and Luton are all playing together. Then obviously Brentford play Man United in the evening, and there's also a game in between, Villa against Wolves. So if you're watching all those games, my God, good luck staying married, because there's about 4 games you can watch on the spin, and that's just on Saturday. And then Liverpool play Brighton at 2:00 on Sunday, and then there's just an add-on fixture at the end towards the end of the weekend. Just City Arsenal at the end. Sorry?
We all Brighton fans then.
Yeah, well, I think we found ourselves Forest fans. We found ourselves Liverpool fans. Well, I found myself a Liverpool fan at time this season, which is a very uncomfortable position. But you know, Klopp's leaving, so you know he's done a lot for them. They've got a style of play. They've got around the injury issues. I mean, if there's ever an identity to keep a style of play and navigate around injury issues, you've got to say that they've done a pretty good job. And credit to Liverpool for giving Sven-Göran Eriksson a kind of amazing send off in terms of.
Displays that we don't give them credit for anything. So on the channel,
no, we're not giving them. We can't give them credit.
None. They made it back.
Mavsy, Eriksson's got terminal cancers. They've given him a chance to manage the club.
That's fine.
That was a nice touch.
However, on Channel 4 before the game, it was an hour before the game, and basically it was like 45 minutes of them fucking lord themselves.
What? It was on TV. I didn't know that.
No, it wasn't on TV. It wasn't. It wasn't televised. But it was half an hour or 45 minutes of utter drivel about how great Liverpool are. No, they're fucking not.
Well, that's what the media do, Mavsy. I think that
better than us.
It was a very humane thing that they did. It was very similar to the sorts of things that you've seen sometimes from Everton. Do you remember that guy who went on? Was it the McIntyre program? Yeah, that you came. Yeah, exactly. Remind me of that sort of thing. Anyway, going back to the football.
We talked too much about them cunts. Anyway.
Yeah. Well,
can I bring something up, Stevie?
Yeah.
So, something that Peter brought up when we were going over what would be acceptable for us. Something else we need to consider: the second we get a win as a team, organization, and the players, that'll make a huge dent or impact to their confidence. And I think that's one of those things. Even if it isn't a must-win, the earlier we get confidence under our belt again, it makes a huge impact to the momentum going into these critical matches, to not trust that we're going to let another leaky goal in, because there's been who brought this up? Tazul as well, that we've been leaking a bunch of goals now, and that's a huge scare, I think. That if we're leaking
have started.
goals, we don't trust holding a lead now either. And if we believe we can hold a lead again, then I'm not worried for the rest of the year. But we need that one win, and the earlier we get it, the better. So,
Well, we had the West Ham game. We let in 3 there. We let in 2 at Old Trafford, but the other games have been, an average of 1 to 2. Like we had a clean sheet against Fulham, but other than there was like more shots there than a hockey game. But that was a while ago now. That was at the end of Jan. But since then, we've been kind of leaking 2 goals on average a game. And because we can't score, that's the problem, Chris. We just can't score. So you can't leak 2. We kind of need to keep a clean sheet to have any chance of getting a win. Well, where's it going to come from? We've got. I mean, I think you've done a show on it, and I can see where the points are coming from. But I think it does leave us all feeling.
I always want to stick £2 on Keane just to see any time goal scorer just for a laugh.
So we know for a fact Keane is not going to score. That's it.
I was watching one of the telly just now when he scored against Burnley earlier this season. So he can do it.
He can indeed. And I'm a strong advocate. It'll teach you two a bit of a lesson.
Well,
I don't. You know what though? This is what we've become as a club, relying on. Obviously, you have to have goals, but you should have goals from your strikers too. But relying on fringe play, well, I wouldn't say likes of Michael Keane.
Solanke's the favourite to score first, 9 to 2. Calvert-Lewin is 15 to 2, and then Beto's 8 to 1. That pretty much says it all. Unal 6 to 1. I think, and Semenyo is 8. So, we're going into a game where probably the striker is most likely to start is 8 to 1. That's pretty crap, to say the least. Tazl says we need to win all our home games by hook or crook. Thanks, Captain.
The only problem is we have the shite, and you know how fucking referees love them. So enough said.
Yeah, we can't be thinking we're going to get anything from that. I think that's one of those games where we take something from them. We could ruin any title challenge they've got as well as winning, but we all know that how that game's going to go. I'll be previewing that soon.
Actually, again, lose the league at Goodison Park for another season. How boss would that be?
They could be. I mean, look, I wouldn't rule us out getting a draw from it, but at the same time, I think we need to go in thinking we're not going to get anything. And we've seen before with late goals from Mane that we can actually hold them for a long, long time, and the jammy beep, and they win. And that's kind of, anyway, it's well away, and hopefully it's kind of one game at a time mentality. Did anyone see the press conference? Dyche was speaking about on injuries.
Yeah, he talked about Danjuma. I don't exactly know what he was referring to on. He got 70 minutes. It may have been a practice match, but the thinking was that he's almost ready. He's playing again, but he's not ready to come back. Was the main thing I heard from injuries, and that, as you mentioned, Donaghy is back.
That's right. So that's pretty much the gist of it. There wasn't an awful lot there. I'm wondering if anyone's watching it saw the conference. Anything else you picked up?
He was questioned. I didn't see it, but I read some notes. He was questioned, obviously, about Nottingham's Forest, and I think it was very political on that one.
Well, a note on that, because we are here. It's a load of gobbledygook, isn't it? I mean, look, they're making up the rules as they're going along.
Of course they are. And at the end of the day, it's all bollocks to say, oh, well, no. Well, they complied. Well, we complied. It was quite literally in the appeal says, well, we complied. We actually, that was a mistake by saying that we didn't. We actually, we worked in the Premier League. We didn't hide anything. We pleaded guilty. There is opportunity. And why didn't we get another 2 points back? But no, again, I can talk all night on this one.
Well, no, I think we've all got a moan. Chris, have you got anything on the kind of Forest of trying to hold back funds?
The problem with a lot of these rules is they can be correct with very subjective decisions on what they choose to say is relevant. And that's what's really difficult for us, because if two people come and greet you at the front door, one person is supposedly nice and one person isn't, but you greeted them both equally, or like there's so much subjectivity. What is early communication? Did we early communicate this next time? How many points do we expect? And what's the fairness and what's the rule stick? It's because it's so subjective, it's really frustrating. So we felt but again, we weren't behind closed doors and Mabsy's right. It felt like from everything we were told, we were communicating with the Premier League, working closely, but were we withholding? Did the Premier League feel like we ripped them off? We lied to them? We don't really know what their organizational emotion is about it. They just felt we like Nottingham Forest better. They interacted with us more nicely, what have you. So it's just really frustrating because we don't really know, okay, did we communicate early this time for the second charge? Because we've been
quite
dealing with
literally communicated. We communicated from the start before we even got charged. We were working with them for a year.
Yeah.
The season before that. So to say that we didn't communicate them earlier, that's a load of bollocks. It's all wrong. It's all kind of, and no one can see it. Everyone can see it, but no one's calling it out this time. And to say, well, we should have been, and again, I think not Forest have come out and said some bollocks like, we don't deserve it, but Everton do. Well, what? Hang on. They quite literally, if they hadn't bought one more player, they chose to buy one or two more players, right? And we complied. We saw that Charleston, we weakened the team, to get him and won that, and he still do us. It's all sorts of wrong. And bear in mind,
do you think we'd be in this bother if we still had Richarlison? Do you think he would have just fallen into this trap of not scoring? By the way, he's spoken out on his mental health struggles.
Yeah, that's where the subjectivity of what is created.
I think also Dyche. Let's move on from the subject because it just bores me.
Yeah, I think we'll be all here, and it's supposed to be a Bournemouth preview.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're going down to Bournemouth, it actually might be better to just go to the beach instead of the game because probably get more points there.
Right.
I've heard it's a 10-pot stadium, and you'll hear the audio from outside the ground, won't you?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is some of the comments he's made. So some have been away, of course, and we really got these lads back today. Some players had more minutes than others. Seamus, obviously, Mikalenko had great news qualifying for the Euro 24. Amadou played the other night and had 70 minutes. Pato played a couple as well. We were monitoring them. They did less, obviously, today because they played so recently. And we've been bringing them back down, ready to start training again tomorrow and ready for the Bournemouth game. So on the 3-0 in October, it goes, Bournemouth had a really tough start and they came through really strong and spell results, and then quite a spell, and then popped up with another set of results, explaining Dyche. They turned to a decent outfit and they've worked hard at the game. I think Bournemouth are rightly so respected for the season they're having, as well as us being questioned. But you go well. If we didn't have the points deducted, we wouldn't be getting questions. So again, everything the whole harks back to the points deduction. And you know what? Actually, I don't know if we hadn't had those 6 points deducted, would there even be question Dyche now as a manager?
Probably not. But at the end of the day, that's probably had a massive impact on the morale subconsciously. It plays on your mind. It's played on my mind since it was.
Of course,
since they said that we're going to be investigated. So you can put it to your side. You can put anything like this to the side, but it's going to be subconscious. And unfortunately, I think it hasn't had an. I think it has had an effect on the team. It's not the reason why we have put the ball in the net. We kind of had that bounce where we won 3 games on the spin, which was a bit like up you. And then we just didn't continue it. We just couldn't. It was like a new manager bounce. Chris, what do you think?
Well, and the other thing to remember, if we, in a season like this, what we wanted from Dyche was we would just want to stay up and we'll take, as long as we can get to the new stadium in the Premier League, sort out the financial mess with 777 and everything on that front of our ownership, we'd take it. But then you also have to remember, this is one of the poorest point tallies we've seen in quite a while. So yes, Dyche take away the points. He achieved what we needed, but it wasn't through excellence of us. It's the poorness of the league, and then you throw the points deduction in there, and it gets a bit more murky. But yeah, Emma said it right here. I think if we haven't won in 10 games, we know that the quality of matches weren't going to be excellent, but there have been times we've been happy with it. But this we haven't recovered from that winter lull that we always expect at Everton over the last few years, that we don't get points, and right now we're desperately in trouble if Dyche doesn't figure it out. And what Matt said too, there was kind of a defense that we couldn't have changed tactics in a week because people were out on international duty. I don't think Better was away. I don't think DCL was away. I don't think Doucouré, McNeil, or Harrison were away. So they have every opportunity to actually build an attacking set of play with the players take out Onana, take out Branthwaite, and a couple others. We didn't need Pickford to learn how to score goals this week tactically. So I think it was a real cop-out answer to me that he just bypassed and said it's not possible.
As I say, Peter, Emma, and Wormy all disagree with me. And yeah, absolutely. And I know we have had an absolute appalling time of not winning. Now, I get that. But the questions would have been asked. Yeah, totally. They would have. So I know I'm backtracking a bit, but what I'm trying to say is, but if we didn't have a 6-point deduction, we would be, 12th, 14th? Something,
Yeah.
Miles off, and no risk of going down. So whether the pressure would have been on him as much as it is now, obviously, who knows? And okay, fair enough. I agree with what you're saying. All three of us.
It's unnecessary pressure. I do agree with the comments that are coming in. I think Dyche, we could have removed him. Look, literally, I think Ryan called it. It's an option, but I think that loyalty has come in because he's actually done a really difficult. It's not been the easiest job, and he's not the one that goes out on the pitch. I think he's organised us quite well. Incidentally, our last win was nearly 4 months ago now.
Yeah, it's before Christmas, wasn't it? Just before Christmas.
16th of December. You have to scroll down. It's 5:30 kickoff, and it was at Burnley. And wow, so it's before Christmas. Here we are, pretty much Easter, and the only thing that's happened is that they've replaced chocolate eggs from selection boxes. There's nothing changed. We've not won, and we've not scored that many. No. 1-1, 2-2. It's just not good enough, and we can't sit here going, it's acceptable. It absolutely isn't.
I didn't say it was acceptable. That I think that's probably.
No, I didn't say that. You said that.
I'm just making.
I think this is one of those things where we agree to agree. But the big problem for Everton is if we put the ball in the net a lot more than we had, I think things are okay. The problem is it's like the major thing you need to do as a footballer. So it's like the car mechanic that can't fix a car, or the swimming pool attendant that doesn't know how to swim. It's just like the fundamental basic part of the job, and we haven't been good at it. And then you start looking at goals, and the defenders probably know that if they're not scoring at that end of the pitch, it puts pressure on you because you have to keep a clean sheet. And mistakes have come in. We've given away penalties. We only had one penalty ourselves, which bloody blew as well. Frustrating. There's been a few near misses as well. The Brighton game, we've not got the best luck. But I think that we're just going to be rallied with the flares and everything for the last run in, and it's the same old as it's like 3 years in a row of this, and we deserve better, but it's the way it is, and the points are to do with it, and that's my moan over. Wummy says you don't expect the points deduction as their fault. What are we supposed to aspire to as an Everton supporter? Watch dreadful football. Well, you know what? It's not been that dreadful. We've seen a lot worse. We've created lots of chances. Problem is we keep missing them. I don't think the football is fall asleep football at times. There's been a few games when we've been like, this is boring, especially at home. There's been a few games where it's been a bit boring, but we have been quite good at times at creating chances. It's not Brazil, it's not Belgium, it's just Everton, it's basic football, but Dyche has had them pretty well drilled from an organisational point of view, but the strikers have missed sitters, all of them, or both of them.
Yeah,
but
both of them
pretty
are,
much all of them.
And
And you can't make any excuses for that.
What sort of job? And everyone, it's a cliche, isn't it? But what sort of job? You're absolutely rubbish at you're not performing right yet, and not performing. Getting paid absolute fortune. What job are the lads continue? But football is a mad thing, isn't it?
It's mad, but I mean, the only option I can see is that he just, he plays like McNeil, Beto, and Calvert-Lewin all together and just kind of goes for broke. I mean, that's what some sides would have probably done. He didn't seem to want to ever do this. It's not been tried, but it's just not working as it is. So you have to question, why is that the case? If they're both up together, then it's less pressure on them both because they know that they've got a strike partner.
Yeah, absolutely. But I can't see Dyche doing that.
We kind of need somebody like
Steve Peters.
We kind of need a Steve Peters sports psychologist thing now, because I'm starting to think that for the likes of Calvert-Lewin, where if you're a striker, you've gone 20 games without scoring, confidence has got to be rock bottom, even if you kind of mask that,
Yeah.
Tazul says, come on, it's so predictable and boring. I agree, we've seen worse, but even Luton played better than us. Well, Luton played pretty good football, but they're letting a lot of goals. I mean, think that we're shipping a few. They made a few plumbers in their back line. And we can't string two passes together. I don't agree with that. We can put two passes together, but they are sideways or backwards.
We can't put two passes in the final third that are probing, dangerous, and behind the player. That's the stuff we struggle with.
Well, let's hope we're not going to be picking out this, analysis with the same old rubbish.
See, this
from
one,
5 o'clock on Saturday.
I've kind of got to the whole Sims thing, and every single time an Everton player scores, who's not an ex-Everton player scores, we all get on the bandwagon. Shouldn't have sold them. Shouldn't have sold them. Now, I think he agreed with you and Sims, but there's a lot of people that go, a lot of envy around the world, like, oh, someone scored, or I get that, but I get what you're saying on the Sims situation, but he's hardly let the championship up on fire. Let's be brutally honest. You know what I mean? And again, Emma, spot on. And this comment here is just it sums our club up at the moment. Our standards have lowered over the years. A few years ago we were challenging for Europe, and top half, and now you're right, Emma. It is kind of, we see success as a good cup run, getting knocked out, and then staying up. Yeah, absolutely, Emma, totally. And this is the whole issue with us at the moment.
I mean, I thought it was bad in the 90s, but actually compared to now, I'd go back there any moment. But it's terrible. And actually, because we've had it so bad. I mean, this is so much better than last year. Come on. And the year before, that was shocking. This is bad. We've got the points thing and we're not putting the ball in the onion bag, but we have kind of adjusted our standards to accept that.
Mediocrity is, what happens?
What's our middle name?
Nil status, nil something. What's happened to that? Only the best is good enough, and we are accepting, and I'm guilty of it. Quite literally, no, sorry.
My thoughts, Mabsy, are: we survive another year, then we probably don't recruit another striker. We survive another year, get to Bramley-Moore Dock. That's really kind of the glimmer. That's the shiny object, and it's being built, and it is real, and it's happening. And I've seen the photos, and you can see the videos. You can go there, and it is actually real. That's all very exciting. But if you haven't got a team to play that football up there, it might be an anticlimax when we cross the white line. I just hope that we've got a side that kind of almost can play the football to match the stadium. And I fear that we've not got that at all. We might have one of the best stadiums in the country and in Europe, but with one of the worst sides. And we've kind of got used to it.
Yeah, but don't we say this every year, Steve? we say this year in, year out. Oh, next season will be better. Next season, it's always about
Well, we
next
do,
season.
but this year the cup's half empty rather than fully empty. I mean, last year no one had any tolerance for what was going on, and it was very, very hard. And we're just sick of the relegation battles, aren't we? We're just sick of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then it does make every single game interesting. And this year is one of those years where I'm looking at every single game. There isn't a dull game because you're looking at what's going on at the top, what's going on at the bottom, and like the points are quite close in some areas of the league. But it does make you stressed, and I think we've all been blessed with 20 days off of it, and now we've got to go back to it.
But see, we haven't, have we? We haven't. The joke club that is Everton, right? It keeps going on. We've not touched a play game of football for 20 odd days, but we haven't had a break. Where's the break been? Absolutely bad news after bad news after bad news all the time. It just gets to you. And
we're not going to sign anyone, Mabsy. That's the news I've got for you. The window closed. So all we're going to get is an injury and an edited reel of us in Portugal, with
the actual the kickoff
with a striker scoring a nice looking shot. I think even Calvert-Lewin scored in that reel. But I do like the strikers, but as people, I think they're great, but I just don't think they're performing, and it's unforgivable. And I want them to do really well. I do really like them. There's been some strikers where I'm like, oh, they don't put a shift in. I don't want them as part of my club, or they seem to come here and take our money and not perform as well as they used to, or they go away and do better elsewhere. These two, they have put a shift in. They have got themselves in the box. They put themselves in great position. They're just not finding the net. It's really frustrating.
But that's the job, Steve. At the end of the day, you can get.
I know it's their job. Well, it is their job, but they have done other things. But I just think if I was the manager now, and if it was Championship manager, I'd be playing the two of them up top, because playing one of them hasn't worked. So it's time to just change it up now. You've got to realize that. Would either of you be doing that?
To up front?
Yeah, of course I would. But it's not going to happen.
I think you need to play DCL in the position that Decore's in if Decore can't run, because he's looked off. I'm not sure what's going on there. Sounds like an injury. But if you played DCL in that 4-4-2 and played him more as a false 9, winning the first header, flicking on, or being able to move out wide to give space for Beto in the middle, I think it works. If they're both the target man, it's pointless, and they just bump into each other.
Yeah, look, you've got to give it a go. I'm sure it's been tried out in training, although it looks like they're on opposite sides from the videos I've seen, and just shows you how bored we are watching these sorts of things. Let's go for some predictions. Start with you, Toffee. What do you think?
Well, Toffee thinks the same as me. I think we're going to win 2-1.
Okay, 2-1 to Everton. So finally breaking our duck after all that time. Chris?
Why not? Let's go for it.
So Heart says 1-0, reality 1-1.
Okay. I'm going for goalless. I think I just think that's going to happen. I'm sure one of us will be wrong, maybe two, by the sounds of it.
All of us.
All of us.
We can't all be the same.
No, it can't be all of the same results.
We've got to win it. We've got to win at some point.
Yeah. Mine's a stupid prediction, really, because it's not what I want, but I just know we can't score, and actually we probably will go there with this mentality that we can't let one in. So I think with Branthwaite, who we've heard between the lines might be valued around 70 million. Didn't get a game. He was warming up right next to me and David. But obviously we have quite good, central defenders, and if they play well, we've got a good chance of starting them out.
With regards
no
to
one
that
knows what's going to happen at the other end.
With regards to that valuation, I think it should be near 100 than that. I think that's a quite low valuation for Branthwaite. At the end of the day, he's a young top talent in English. He's got a long contract, so I think that's a
maybe so. This came from a source that we're not going to name, but thank you very much for joining us on Follow Everton. We've had our first half, 45 minutes. We're in injury time now, and I would like to think that Everton are finally going to do the business on Saturday and beat the Cherries.
Say goodbye.
But Toffee saying goodbye, and Chris, it's goodbye from you, and it's a goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me. Up the fucking Toffees.
Yeah, up the Toffees, and we'll see you on the other side. Post-match reaction, of course.
And we've got watch along, haven't we? Have we got Chris? Have we got watch along or?
Yeah,
Go
I'll
watch
be
one.
off my laptop in this Airbnb. I may not have all my audio done perfectly, but I'll be editing.
Oh, that's social media for you. We'll see you. We'll see you then.
See you later.